Marissa Carmichael disappeared on January 14th, 2024. On that day, Marissa placed a chilling 911 call saying that she was stranded and she didn't know where she was.
Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder, your favorite true crime momcast. I'm Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime. From missing mothers to murdered mothers, moms who murder, survivors, and more.
Yes, we do. And one of the things that we also bring you is episodes where Rachel does not have a brain. And that is today's episode. So you guys are very welcome. Stick with us. I promise it's a Heather day. Heather's telling the case, so you don't have much of me. Just bear with it. A couple housekeeping things before we get into Heather's case, which I am so excited for. She kind of was like, this one's crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Patreon, you guys, Patreon, Apple subscription, we have those going right now. Patreon has 2 different tiers that you can join. If you want ad-free listening, early listening, there is a tier for that. If you want bonus content, as well as ad-free and early listening, there is that. And we want to welcome the first 2 members over there on Patreon, Stephanie and Brittany. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us and being just our bestie babes. We freaking love having you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Chef's kiss.
You guys can go find, if you want to check it out, if you want to see what it's all about. And on Apple subscription, I will say there is a free trial, so you guys could go there, check it out, see if it's something you guys want to join. I'm an ad-free listener, so for the podcast that I tune into all the time, I try to always have ad-free because ads drive me absolutely insane. But if you just want more of us, there is that as well. That is an option, my babies.
Yes, and it's just a great way to support the show. We are an independent podcast, and we want to keep doing what we do. We love it. We have a passion for it, and it's just a great way to support it. So if you guys are happy listeners, just support us in that way. I know we probably say it every episode. If it is not a monetary support that you can offer, just go leave us a rating or review wherever you're listening, because that also super supports the show. And we would appreciate
or
it.
just go to your phone, find someone named Sharon, and be like, hey, Sharon, you should listen to this episode right now and share your favorite, or Frank, I don't know, just whoever.
I was like, is it Sharon because
click.
they're Sharon? The episode? Or
No, but yes. Oh, snapperoo. I didn't even not intentionally, but I like it.
So your brain's working
like
better
it.
than you thought it was.
No, your brain's working better because you caught on to it. Love it. All right, Heather, I am ready for your case today.
Alrighty. So let's get into it. This one, the more I looked into it, the more I was like, what? It's just, there's these little pieces that I am just hoping very soon they will be able to put together and come up with the answers, because this family deserves it. So Marissa Carmichael, she disappeared on January 14th, 2024. At 3:40 a.m. on that day, Marissa placed a 911 call explaining that someone had robbed her and that she did not know where she was. What? It has been, yes, and I will get into it. And Rachel, today's going to be a lot of firsts.
A lot of firsts.
Well, at least one. I'm going to play a 911 call for you, which I don't think I've ever done before because you know how I feel about them and it scares me.
Yeah. That's definitely not your thing. That's my thing. I'm
know.
actually looking up her. So I typically never look up who you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure that I actually have her case on my list of to-dos right now.
You do.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because last year, when I was prepping the February episode where I covered 4 missing Black mothers.
Yeah.
She was, while I was prepping that episode, was right around the time that she had gone missing.
Okay.
And I wanted to be sure we covered her case. You know, obviously, it got lost in the shuffle. We cover a lot of cases. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, I should come back to that case. It's been a year. And I was so disappointed to find that there has not been a lot of updates on it.
That's very frustrating.
Yeah.
It just means it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be shared more. It needs to be in everyone's faces until something happens.
We need to get Marissa's name out there. For sure, for sure. Because it has been now over a year, and her family still doesn't know what happened. Marissa's mom, Sarah, she plays a big part in all of this, and she told Dateline just last month, quote, "Every morning when you wake up, it's the same. Like, here goes another day of not knowing." End quote. I just got chills. That is
I know.
So sad.
It's heartbreaking.
Marissa's sister, Emma, also said, quote, "It's just a hole in your heart and nothing will help it. Nothing will." End quote. So Marissa has people in her corner who have not stopped fighting, which is amazing. And I think that we just need to do our part and get the name out there because, to me, this case is solvable. In January 2024, 25-year-old Marissa Carmichael lived in High Point, North Carolina. She lived with her mom, her sister, and her 5 young children, who at that time were ages 3 to 9. Those who know and love her say that Marissa is a great person, optimistic.
Did you say 5 children?
5.
I'm so sorry.
I did. 5
and you
kids.
said ages 3
to
9.
9. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I heard it as like 3, 2, and 9. And so I was like, that's... But also, why would you put the 2 in between? I'm going to sit here quietly and you continue.
Okay.
Thanks.
But don't be too quiet because there are some things that I will definitely want to get the way your brain works, I think is going to be very, very integral to helping me kind of put some pieces together on this case and for our listeners.
Okay. Well, in that case, I will do my best to think before I speak.
Okay.
Continue. Thank you.
So Marissa knew how to make people laugh, knew how to make even the smallest thing a lot of fun. And a Facebook page that's dedicated to finding Marissa says that she had a heart of gold. Marissa's mom, Sarah, describes the relationship with her firstborn daughter as best friends, saying they never went more than a few hours at a time without being in touch.
Love that.
On January 13th, 2024, around 8:30 p.m., Marissa was getting ready to go out, a normal activity for a 25-year-old on a Saturday night. She was scheduled to work a shift at the Waffle House, but she had actually called out earlier that day and changed plans to go to a club with her friend. So Marissa had told her sister Emma about these plans, but Marissa said, "Don't tell mom." Emma recalls that Marissa didn't want their mom to worry about her going over to a club. So instead, Marissa had just told her mom that she was going to go to a restaurant and then head to work.
I thought it was going to be because she wanted her to still watch the kids. And if she's at work, she watches the kids, but not if she's going to go out.
I mean,
I feel that.
I feel that too.
Yeah. It just shows that she had a very caring mama that, was going to look out for her.
It's definitely the way that I've watched a lot of interviews with Sarah and with Emma, and you can tell that Sarah was just she said, they were best friends. And so the club that they were planning on going to was about 20 to 30 minutes away. And, I think she just wanted to make sure her best friend was being safe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Marissa and this friend who had invited her out to the club, they caught a ride with a cousin to 117 Soda Bar and Lounge in Greensboro, North Carolina, which, like I said, was about 20 to 30 minutes from their home in High Point, North Carolina. So using the Facebook messages and text messages as a guide, family and investigators believe that Marissa was at the club until about 2 a.m. in the morning on January 14th. And then at some point, she split from her friends texting, "See you in the morning." And from there, it's believed that Marissa left with a male acquaintance. And this guy actually met her at the club, and then together they traveled to an after party, which was about 2 miles away from the club. It was like an after party at an Airbnb.
Okay.
After that, the next anyone heard from Marissa was that fated 911 call. So the same person who had driven her from the club to the Airbnb, that male acquaintance who had taken her to the after party, then left her stranded at an Exxon at 801 East Market Street, which was actually about less than a mile from the club that she had been at just a few hours earlier.
Okay.
And this is where I'm going to play the 911 call for you.
Oh, man.
Guilford Metro 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I needed the contact to the non-emergency number.
It comes into the same center. I can try to help you while I have you on the phone, and I can give you the number.
Okay, yes. I don't know where I am in Greensboro. I just got all my stuff throughout the car. He took off with my phone. I have no clue where I'm at. I have no numbers, nothing.
Are you at a business?
I am at a store, yes. I'm at a Synergy.
Are you at an Exxon?
Is this an Exxon?
801 East Market?
Okay, it's an Exxon, yes.
Okay, what's your name? Are you hurt and needed an ambulance?
No, I'm not, but I mean, he told me to come into the store and grab some shit and, took off on me, and I don't know where I'm at. I'm in the middle of Greensboro. He took my phone. I don't have my phone. Yes, back to my house.
All right, what are you wearing so officers can identify you
No, he
when they
took
get
my
there?
shit. You said what?
What are you wearing so officers can identify you when they get there?
I'm wearing some blue jeans and a white shirt with some yellow sneakers. That's not going to help my problem, though, ma'am. I'm stuck all the way in Greensboro, and I don't know where I'm at.
Okay, you just told me you're at an Exxon.
Yes, but in order for me to get back home, I don't have any of my contacts.
Okay, I'm going to send an officer out there to see if they can help you in any way.
Okay.
All right, they'll be there as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what did you hear, or what did you pick up in the call?
I guess certain thoughts that I'm having, or who was she talking to?
Mm-hmm.
while she was standing there. Who was she talking to?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, obviously I don't know her. I don't know how she talks. I don't know anything, right? But it's like, I feel like a 25-year-old would be aware and would know that if wherever you're at that moment, there's a way to find your, like, to get home.
Yeah.
You know, yes, he has that information. He has the phone with all the contacts and stuff, but you get picked up and then you go home. So that was concerning to me, as if, like, maybe she wasn't fully with it when it came to, like, what she was talking about or understanding at that moment.
Yep.
I feel that the dispatcher did a fine job talking to her and getting the information.
Right.
And she didn't say how she was hurt or anything, so there was no reason for her really to stay on the line.
Right.
That was typical, where she would get the information and then just send an officer. But yeah, definitely, I'm wondering who she's talking to. What's a synergy?
So I think synergy is a type of gas,
Exxon?
like a gas
Okay,
station.
I was like, was that another business that was nearby?
I think it's like another name for a gas station. There was another name of a store that I had to look up, and I was like, what kind of store is that? It's like just like another. I mean, we're obviously not super familiar with North Carolina type stores, so.
Well, and I had a question when you first brought up that area. Is that a military area? Is that like a Marine base place? I feel like I've heard about it, and I feel like I've heard different crimes happening in this area based on, it makes me, I don't know if I've heard it on like Military Murder with Margot or what, but I feel like I've heard Greensboro, North Carolina, and I think it's a military base town. So instantly I had that thought too of like, I wonder if that could play a factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, super concerning, and my main thing is, who is she talking to right then and there?
Definitely.
Because why are you not paying attention to the person you're on the phone with? Someone's obviously in your ear, and why? They see that you're on the phone and concerned, so who are you?
The first thing I will say is, yes, I think from, like, the way that she is talking, I think you're right. Like, the dispatcher did a good job. I mean, Marissa even said, like, what's the number for the non-emergency line, which is like a very conscientious thing to do, right? Like, she understands, like, I understand, like, this isn't an emergency, like, no one's in immediate danger, but I also need help. And so, you know, the dispatcher thankfully was just like, okay, I can, you know, I have you on the phone, I'm going to help you out. And then it is 3:40 in the morning after Marissa had been out all night. Right? So I think, at the very least, she must be super tired, if not, you know, somehow not within her full mental capacities. And then somebody that she trusted was driving her, took her to this gas station, said, go inside and grab whatever, and then steals her phone, takes off with her phone. Now, the people that she's talking to, I've listened to this 911 call a couple times, and what I think I'm hearing are actually two different voices. One, I think it's the store clerk, who is the one who she's first talking to, saying, what is this place? Like, and he tells her, like, oh, this is an Exxon, it's a, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so that's when she responds back, yes, I guess it's called an Exxon. Now, there is a second voice that you can clearly make out in the call, and like, I know, like, you were listening to it on my mic, so it probably wasn't like super clear, but you can just catch someone say, do you need a ride?
Oh man, I did not catch that at all.
And it's chilling when you go back and listen to it.
What's gonna happen? Oh man.
Yeah.
Play it again. I want to hear just that part.
Okay.
And also, I did look up North Carolina. In that area, it is military, and there is a lot of different things that have happened.
We know how bad military bases can be.
Where I'm at, I'm in the middle of Greensboro. He took my phone. I don't have my phone. Yes, back to my house.
So you can barely make out a guy in the background say, like, give you a ride, or like,
do you need a ride? And she says, yes, back to my house.
Exactly. So it's so scary.
Don't like that.
Yeah. So this call is placed at 3:40 a.m. from this Exxon, and it took almost 40 minutes for the Greensboro police to dispatch an officer. Now, she did say it wasn't an emergency. She didn't say she was hurt, everything like that. But it is a little frustrating knowing what happens, right?
Yeah, when you know, like, why we're talking about this case in general. But,
Yeah.
I mean, you make very good points that she didn't specify that it was urgent. She was going to originally call a
Exactly.
emergency line. And so they always got to take emergency calls. And
Right.
that's not a small city that they
Yeah.
got someone that's, yeah. But
and it's
anyways,
a Saturday
still
night,
frustrating.
you know? So
Still frustrating.
It's a Saturday night. Clubs just got out. Like, you have to assume there's
Yeah.
probably other shit going on. But it's
Yeah.
it's just heartbreaking because knowing what happened.
Right.
Because by the time police arrived at 4:21 a.m., Marissa was gone. And surveillance footage showed her getting into a vehicle and leaving the gas station. Something that I read was also confirmed by the store clerk who was on duty.
Was it confirmed with that guy?
I believe it was because they see her leaving shortly after the 911 call was placed. So the same guy who was in the 911 call saying, "Do you need a ride?" And she said, "Yes, back to my house." I believe that is the person she got into the car with and drove off.
Has there been a statement from the store clerk, though?
The store clerk said that she got into a car and drove off with somebody.
But didn't say specifically that it was him?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, they did identify this individual.
Oh, okay.
They did identify him. They interviewed him. And he's considered a witness. Even though, from everything I can find, and maybe there is stuff they're not saying, which I get, even though this is more than likely the last person to see Marissa alive.
Well, whoever the guy she was with in the first place, if she was told to go in and get some stuff, he could have quickly came back and she could have got in that car trying to get her phone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that
It's
possibility
not
that
that person, though.
Okay,
Two different
okay.
people. They've confirmed that that's two different people. So
Okay,
we've
gotcha.
got the person who picked her up from the club, took her to the after party, and then dumped her at the gas station and took her phone.
Okay.
The second person that offers her the ride.
Excellent. Okay.
So after the 911 call and leaving the gas station, there were actually a string of other calls that occurred. Between the hours of 4 and 6 a.m., Marissa tried to call her mom, her sister, and her dad, all from a phone that wasn't hers, though, right? Remember, the man who had dropped her off at the Exxon took her phone.
Right.
So these calls, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. So these calls, the mom didn't answer, the sister didn't answer. Apparently, the dad did answer the phone, and Marissa actually asked to speak with the friend that she had originally gone to the nightclub with. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. That friend, who is the one who, Marissa took off her shift from work and said, "I'm going to a club with a friend." That friend had gone to the club and left the Greensboro area at 4:47 a.m. in an Uber. And she actually Ubered back to Marissa's house where she stayed. So this friend, and so I don't know, like maybe the friend drove to Marissa's house, her car was there, but when she got home, back to Marissa's house, because she, according to Sarah, Marissa's mom, she did say that she was drunk. The friend was like, "Oh, I was drunk." So she stays at Marissa's house, but without Marissa.
Okay.
Investigators would also find that one of Marissa's friends had actually called her mom at 5 a.m., indicating some kind of emergency, but then the line disconnected.
What the heck?
And I can't really confirm that this is the same friend who was like sleeping at Marissa's house, but I'm like 95% positive it isn't. Because in later interviews with Marissa's mom, Sarah, she explains that original friend who Marissa went clubbing with, she had come back to the house without Marissa, didn't wake Sarah up to say, "Hey, Marissa's there. She doesn't have a ride." When Marissa called her dad and her dad answered and Marissa said, "Let me speak to my friend," didn't say anything about that call. And she was just saying, "Oh, I don't know. I was drunk." So Sarah obviously is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sarah woke up in the morning. Instantly, she had a bad feeling. it was out of the ordinary for Marissa not to check in, right? And so that worry, that suspicion, it only grew when she saw those missed calls at like 5 a.m. from the unknown number. And she thought, this could be Marissa trying to get in touch with me. But when Sarah tries to contact the number back, she tries to call it back, she's only left with more worry, more suspicion, more questions. Whoever is on the other end of that line was attempting to convince Sarah that Marissa's fine. So I was reading through, and I think there may have been a mix of phone calls and text messages.
Okay.
But I know for sure that it has been reported in several places that the person on the other end of this unknown number that had called Sarah at 5 a.m. was a male. Okay. So they must have spoke at some point on the phone. But the person on the other end of the line was basically blowing off Sarah and saying, like just basically trying to make any excuse not to talk to Marissa. So she would say, like, let me talk to Marissa. And the person would say, oh, she's asleep. Oh, she walked to the store. And so when Sarah was like, give me the address so I can send somebody to go pick her up, the person gave the address of a local convenience store.
Don't like that.
And the mom's like, she's not at a local convenience store. Like, where is she?
Also, if she's fine and she went to the store, why does she not have her phone back?
Right.
Oh, wait, the phone was with the
other guy.
car.
Yeah.
Okay, just kidding. I'm following, I promise.
But, like, why wouldn't she be able to, like, answer her phone? But it's interesting
like the call that the mom was making.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Marissa's family, they noted that, like, Marissa's phone was off. Her social media accounts were inactive, which was just not typical for Marissa. So that day, that afternoon, Marissa's mom, after, like, this person giving her the runaround and not hearing again from Marissa, she reported her missing. She was frustrated after the police, of course, told her the same shit. Wait 48 hours. Y'all, I don't know how many times that, like, pisses me off so badly. And later on, Sarah would say, like, in interviews that she was frustrated with, obviously, the police, like, waiting on it, but then also, like, the response time from the 911 call, which we kind of discussed, especially after knowing what happened in that time.
Right. Yeah.
And then even after she was reported missing, there was a lag in the investigation when, like, searches finally did start happening. So you and I were discussing, I remember when this story was happening, I was actively looking at cases of missing Black mothers, and I came across this story, and I was trying to find a recent one. I ended up going with Raja McQueen, but this case has always just kind of, like, sat there, and I wanted more from this because it's so frustrating to see this story and know that there is not a lot more information out there.
So they know who the person is that Sarah was on the phone with, right? Like, they've identified him. They know who he is.
It's the same. I mean, they at least know for sure the person who fucking picked her up from the Exxon.
Okay.
And that person is still only considered a quote-unquote witness in the case?
Okay, quote-unquote witness, but, like, have they not searched the vehicle? We don't know anything?
So, this is the thing. Searches did start for Marissa a few days later, right? They did wait on this for a few days before starting searches. And Sarah said, oh, I was at the next day, like, at the club, at the Airbnb, at the Exxon. Because she was like, I was there before anybody, right?
Yeah, how could you not be?
How could you not
That's your baby. That's your baby. That's your best friend.
Exactly.
Like,
so on February 6th of 2024, so you're looking like 3 weeks after the disappearance, the Greensboro Police Department, they did post to their Facebook saying that they were urging anyone with information about Marissa to come forward. Their post said that the investigation was ongoing and they had, gotten the surveillance footage. They had conducted interviews. At this point, flyers had been distributed. They were trying to follow leads. They had done some area searches, but they were kind of tips were running dry, right? And they didn't really have much to go on. So they were, urging people to come forward. And like I said, at that point, like Sarah had already been conducting her own searches. Like the family was on top of it and they were looking nonstop. A quote from Sarah, she said, "We have looked in creeks, around lakes and rivers, abandoned houses, boarding houses, motels, several motels, wooded areas, abandoned buildings." So this family was looking everywhere.
Right.
And like I said, Sarah was on a freaking mission. She had already searched the Airbnb. She had already searched the Exxon. She said she was like searching through dumpsters. She was obviously passing out flyers. She was going around the neighborhoods asking for people's like doorbell camera footage, right? Shortly after her sister's disappearance, Emma said to ABC News, quote, "If Marissa is possibly seeing this, you know for a fact that we're not going to stop looking for you. We're never going to stop looking for you until you are found safely. The kids are worried about you. The kids miss you so much. We're going to drive ourselves crazy looking for you, but we are going to find you. And whoever has her, you are just evil." End quote.
Man.
Sarah talks about the heartbreak of trying to explain the situation to her grandchildren, who are very young. At the time Marissa disappeared, like I said, they were 3 years old was the youngest, 9 years old was the oldest. And she tells them, like, look, I'm not giving up.
Right.
But since then, Marissa's kids have moved in with their father, who apparently was a very active part of the searches. And Sarah says that the children's dad has been really strong through all of it, but you can tell like he's really missing Marissa.
Yeah. Were they together?
I don't think they were together.
Okay.
But I think they were still like a part of each other's lives. Obviously,
Okay.
I mean, from what I can tell, like all the kids moved in with their father, so I think it's the same guy potentially. So Sarah explained to Fox 8 News in January of this year, of 2025, that she's hoping that this new detective who was recently assigned to Marissa's case is making progress, learning new information, and it's giving her hope for her daughter's case. Sarah, if you watch interviews with her theory, which is a very probable theory, is that man number 1 who picked Marissa up from the club and man number 2, the one who picked up Marissa from the gas station, were working together.
Oh, man.
She believes, and this would make a lot of sense, like this is a very good theory, it would totally make sense, is that this was planned, that he was going to drop her at a gas station, take her phone. That way she was in a vulnerable situation to make it that much easier for the second person to come pick her up and offer her a ride.
Ugh,
Sarah
disgusting.
also doesn't like the fact that the friend who went with Marissa, just was like, "Oh, I don't know what you."
Yeah.
You don't do that, people.
Yeah.
You don't leave your friends stranded. Like, even if they do have their phone, even if they do say, "Hey, I'm going to go home with this guy," like, that's fine. But you need to be like, "I'm sharing a location. We're checking in with each other." Like, you need to, like, don't do that to your friends.
Yep.
So Marissa is described as biracial, 5'4" and 260 pounds, with black and blonde braids. She has brown eyes and a tattoo heart on her face, and a butterfly tattoo near her eye. She was last seen wearing a white Tweety Bird T-shirt, blue jeans, and yellow sneakers, and she would be 26 years old today. If you have any information, please call the Greensboro Police Department at 336-373-2222. You can also contact Greensboro or the Guilford Crime Stoppers to share tips anonymously at 336-373-1000.
Yeah, were you at that club that night?
Seriously.
Were you, I mean, I don't know. There's so many things where people, they know things, they see things, they hear things. And you're right. Like, it's so sad that we have to say anonymously, because doing the right thing just out loud is something that people don't want to do for multiple reasons, you know. And so I'm very thankful there's anonymous lines. And you guys, if you know something, you gotta reach out for these 5 children, for her family. I love Emma's statement about what she said. It broke my heart.
I know.
But they're not going to stop.
No.
And we just need to keep sharing her pictures, sharing her story until things are done. I just have so many thoughts of, like, that person who she got into the car with. Like, if they have not searched that vehicle, because so, for example, like, if they didn't work together, it's like, was this person a piece of shit that was like, oh, I'll take you home, but I need something in return? And she's like, no, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
And then there was, like, an altercation of some sort and something happened. Then there's evidence in vehicles, right?
Yeah.
And then once she's found, there's evidence, whether it's fingernails, whatever, I don't know. But hopefully they're not sitting on this. Hopefully the police department is not just sitting on information and not fully investigating certain things that can be looked into. Even his phone, like, should be absolutely.
Exactly. Like,
you want to name him a witness, but
like, they have the number that she was trying to call from.
Yeah,
and they've named him as a witness. And I wonder if it's that whole story. Oh yeah, I dropped her off here, and then I never saw her again. Well, where's the proof that, like, you dropped her off there? Like, where's the, you know what I mean? Where's Marissa's phone? Where's the guy who picked her up? They're saying he was a male acquaintance. They did a lot of, like, digging into her Facebook messages and her text messages. So they would have the contact information for whoever met her at this club. Where the fuck is this guy? Because that's the same guy who abandoned her to fucking Exxon. You should
be held responsible for that alone.
Yes.
That alone.
Seriously. He robbed her. He stole her phone.
Exactly. So hopefully that was done, if not anything else.
Bring him in. And there's so many things where I'm like, what the fuck about this? What the fuck about that? And I mean, so the really frustrating thing is that they waited before, and we all know, what is it? First 48.
I know.
Like, we know how important that time frame is. And so when you're not taking a missing person, and especially the fact, the craziest thing too is the fucking fact that she placed a 911 call saying, I got fucking robbed.
Right.
If that's not an indicator enough that she's just not, like, she was in a vulnerable situation when this happened. So, like, why you didn't immediately jump on it is so frustrating, because there's probably so much vital information. Like, people from the after party, people from the club. Yeah. What the fuck? Ask that friend who gets an Uber home. And this is the other thing that it's so frustrating. I really want to understand what was going on here. If you Google the distance, and I say Google because I use Google Maps, I don't know what y'all are using, but the distance from the Exxon to that club, it's literally like 0.6 miles, 0.7 miles. So, and I don't know, like, the club had shut down. Maybe that friend had gone to a different after party or something like that. But it's like, that friend left the Greensboro area at 4:45 in the morning without trying to check in with where Marissa was at. You don't do that. Y'all went together. Y'all leave together. Like, especially because she knows they got a ride there. How's Marissa supposed to get back home? You Ubered without your friend.
That's crazy.
That's bad. there's so many pieces that I'm like, no, they should have answers to this. 100%.
Going back to like the reporting her missing, it always drives me crazy. We talk about this all the time because that's like the number one thing that kills me the most in cases of someone being reported missing is when they are turned away. Because, I mean, could you imagine, Heather, could you imagine us being put in this position and someone trying to tell us, like, no, you can't report it yet. Oh, because you want me to wait for her to get further? You want me to wait until evidence is no longer a factor? You want me to wait until there's an alibi by the person? You want me to wait until all of these things are gone? Because you can't sit there and tell me that the first 48 hours are not the most important.
Exactly.
The first 24 hours, the first fucking hour is not the most important. And you want me to wait a single minute? You're out of your damn mind.
100%.
You're crazy.
100%.
So it's a humiliating thing that this conversation even continues.
Yeah.
As often as it does.
It's so frustrating.
Especially with the circumstances of what it was, you know? Like,
exactly.
None of it is okay. Like, I'm not saying any of it is okay, but for there to be these circumstances of she was dropped off, we know that she left with someone, she's not contacting this dude seems sketchy as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
for sure.
All of these things. I'm probably making so much noise right now.
It's
and
annoying.
You still want to wait? Like, you're crazy.
I just don't understand. Like, if a mom literally comes to you, it doesn't even matter if it was a mom. If anybody comes to you, I mean, the fact that it's the mother, you should really take her word seriously because a mom knows her child. Like she said, she does not go a few hours without checking in with me. If her mom comes to you and says, we have missed calls from our daughter at 3 or 4 in the morning, she was at a club, she doesn't have her phone's turned off, she's missing. She was trying to contact us, and now she stopped. That's a problem.
And on top of that, she called you for help already.
Yes.
Marissa already called you for help.
Exactly.
And you don't want to put that into play? Like, someone just called us seeking our help. We sent someone out, and we're still just gonna push this. Yeah, that kind of stuff drives me freaking nuts. I'm so sorry to Sarah, to Emma, to her family, to her children. Don't stop. Don't give up. Yeah. If there's anything we can do, if for some reason you listen to this, please tell us what we can do. Hopefully you guys are making some moves out there and holding people accountable to do their jobs. And the investigation is, I know they can't share a lot of what is happening. Who knows if they know something and they're looking into it. However they're looking into it, hopefully that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And then also for all those people that if you heard something, if you were there, if you know something, friggin' come forward.
You have to.
Heather said it. You could do it anonymously. They won't even know it was you.
Yeah.
You little coward ass bitch. But just come forward and say something. I'm sorry. It makes me so frustrated.
It does. And especially because it's like this, it's not like this happened out in the middle of, like there were people around. Around. And so I really do, I always say this, but like sometimes I am like, sorely disappointed in it. But I always say, like, Sarah said there's a new detective. They're supposed to be working on it. I really do hope it's one of those situations where they're like just having to keep stuff close to the vest because if they want the prosecution to be able to press charges and they want the prosecution to be able to make those charges stick, like they have to like keep certain information to themselves. If they want to catch a guy in a lie about this, that, or the other, they want to, I get that. I understand why that's important. But at the same time, damn if there's not a shit ton of evidence like that could point to something, right?
Yep.
It's crazy because I feel like in this case, like there's not like, it's not like we're looking at a bunch of like forensic evidence, DNA, blood analysis, all of this, but like those phone records, that surveillance stuff, like receipts, man. Like we can track that. This happened, and this is the other thing. When we hear about things like this that happened in 1970, this was last year. This was last year. All that shit. You heard that 911 like dispatchers say, are you at 801 East whatever? Because
Yeah,
they can
fast as
track the
hell.
fucking GPS.
Right.
Like, this is all able to be solved. And so I am just really hopeful, really, really hopeful that they can get answers, and those kids do not have to live one more day without understanding and knowing, like, their mom is, and I do hope it's only been a year.
So
And just bring her home.
I want to know, how long has GPS tracking, like, from a dispatcher's, like, how long have they been able to see it? So it says the mid 2000s when GPS navigation technology evolved into tracking systems.
So for like 20 years, we've had that technology.
Well, and this isn't in connection to this case, but when we talk about 911 calls, one of the 911 calls that has always literally punched me in my face anytime I've heard of it, know about it, think about it, but Susan Powell's, after her 2 children were with the father, and the worker goes to do the visitation, and she's in the driveway, and she has this phone call, and she's telling him, like, I don't know the address, I'm just here, but they're unsafe, and the dispatcher does the run. It's the worst 911 call I have ever had to listen to, knowing what happens.
You had me listen to that one, and I was fucking hated.
But it's the point that how quickly this dispatcher was able to say, you're at 801, yet this other dispatcher had the nerve to sit there and do a runaround with the worker after so much other stuff. But it made me curious. Wow, Heather, thank you for bringing this today and sharing her information. We will spread and share as much as we can, and hopefully we can update you guys soon with something positive in any information, any sort of information of whereabouts. Hopefully she comes home safely to her babies. That is, of course, what is wanted and what is needed the most, but definitely answers for some sort of resolution.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. All right.
Share her picture, you guys. Share her name. And like Rachel said, if you know something, even if it seems insignificant, if you were in Greensboro, January 2024, look through your pictures, look through your night out at the club. Like, come on. Like, there's more information here.
Yep, definitely. All right, we will talk to you guys next week on Like Mother Like Murder, and yeah, have an amazing week. Have an awesome rest of your day, and hopefully on Thursday you get a little bonus coming out. A bonus, and we will talk to you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Pony. Genuine. Why can't I think of how it goes?
I'm just a bachelor looking for a partner, someone who knows how to run. I'm hot. Let's do it. Body, my heart, my shadow, waiting on it. Get on it.
Yeah, girl.
Okay. That was a lot.
It's recording. Oh.
You always start.
Heather, I think something's wrong with me.
Oh, shit.
Okay. I'm fine.